And now I'm on the other side of the tunnel. And this is the side that's going downhill. And it's the side that I have two of the big butterfly bushes on this side and two of the maiden grass, and it's, you know, it gets pretty big too. It's the weeping ones. And so I think I'm going to take the rest of this stuff that's in the wagon and just plant it all along the tunnel over there where it's, you know, kind of like a trellis, because one of them is a hollyhock and the rest of them that looks dead is what I call the blazing stars. I'll have to put it on the screen. It's a bulb. It blooms in the spring and it gets tall. And you have to, once they get established and they get pretty big, I have to stake mine or they fall over. The same way with the hollyhocks. And so I think I'm going to just plant them up against the trellis here, the tunnel. That way I can just kind of pull them to it, you know, tie them to it when they start, you know, getting too big to, so they don't fall over. And I've also got yarrow in this wagon that I'm also going to plant over here because it's more drought tolerant. It can handle, you know, that, and going down this hill is, you know, it's harder to plant things over here that can handle that, you know, the drought part in the hot part of summer. So I think I'm just going to plant it all over here, and this will sort of end up being, I think this is going to sort of end up being kind of like my little butterfly area, because I've also got some tuberous butterfly weed that I'm planning on digging up, and I'm going to put it over here too. And so this will just be my butterfly area. That's what I'm going to call it on this side of the tunnel. So let's get this planted. The blazing stars are bulbs, if I didn't say that already. I need to move those solar lights. And that is what your tubers look like on these blazing stars. I mean your little bulb, little tuber, little bulb. So let's get these planted. I'm gonna end up with 4 of the blazing star, 4 little clumps of it, and then the hollyhock will be right here beside of the post. There's 2, 3, 4, and this in the middle is a rosemary, which is an evergreen and a perennial for me here. And it was planted early spring, and it was so tiny. It probably wasn't 4 inches tall when I planted it. And so over the next year, they get big here. They actually make just a really big bush for us. The hollyhock looks pretty wilted, but it'll be okay. Well, this one has a lot of tubers. Well, they're all planted, and I don't know if you can see the yarrow right here. It's in between two of the blazing stars, you know, kind of in front of it, but between. And if this spreads here, and I know it will, because that's why I'm moving it, because it's going to run across the ground, it'll be perfectly fine over here. I don't care for it to, you know, if it spreads here. And then I did the same thing on this side. You can see that one actually. I planted it between the hollyhock and the blazing star. And so these are the part of the things that came out of that flower bed that I had in the wagon. I still like the two sky pencil holly. Since I moved the grass back, since I dug it up, divided it, and moved it back from that flower bed, I think that I'm going to plant the sky pencil holly right here. And one of them looks decent, the other one looks rough. I don't know if it's going to make it. But I was looking at it, and it is trying to put on new leaves. And I had said that I thought the roots looked like something might have ate on them, which is very possible because I do have a vole problem from time to time. But right where those were planted, that we have runoff from the roof of the house. And I think it looks to me more like root rot. I think it might have had some root rot going on. Because right when I dug it up, it was pretty damp, you know, and we've been kind of in a drought. And so I think that was probably what was going on. And here is going, you know, kind of sloping because it's starting to go downhill. And so maybe we'll just see what happens. If it doesn't make it, then I'll just buy another one to replace it, because this is right beside of our driveway, and it would look strange to just have one of those unless I moved it to the middle, and I really don't want to do that because I really like the variegated or the yellow cypress that mop-head cypress that I planted there. And so I wouldn't want to block it from this side, you know. And so anyways, if it doesn't make it, I'll just buy another one and replace it. They're not very expensive. And if it does make it, then I can, you know, prune the other one back in the spring to where they're closer in size, because these are a lot like a boxwood. You can prune them, you know, top them just like you do a boxwood. And so we'll see what happens next spring, next summer. But I'm going to give it a chance and, you know, see if it makes it. So let me get these planted, and then I'll show y'all what it looks like. Alrighty, they're planted. And you can see the drastic difference between the two. I think that I'm probably going to go ahead and throw some plant tone around them. The green one, the dark green one, I really wouldn't have to. But this one definitely needs some plant tone or some kind of fertilizer, but plant tone is what I have. And I think it's, you know, maybe it'll make it, we'll see. And like I said, if it does and it starts growing in the spring, sometime in the summer, I can top this one, the dark green one, and because they're not really too much of a difference in height, maybe 5 or 6 inches. It's just that this one looks so beautiful. But you can see it's actually trying to put on some new leaves. And so I'm hoping here, I actually let them set on top of the ground once I realized and thought that it might have been root rot. I've let them set on top of the ground for a few days in the shade so they could dry out. And so we'll see if it makes it. You know, that's just part of gardening. Sometimes you lose a plant, and although you hate to lose it, it's just, it is what it is. Sometimes you can't help it. But like I said, if it don't make it, I'll just replace it. And so I'm not gonna show it in the video. I'm just gonna sprinkle some plant tone around it, and wait till, because it's supposed to rain. I would not, if I were gonna put plant tone around it right now and it wasn't gonna rain, I would definitely water it in, because I said we have a vole problem here, and I've tried lots of different things, but one thing I did notice, and I don't know if y'all have experienced this or not, or noticed it if you have problems with voles. When I sprinkle plant tone around my plants, the plants love it. I mean, it's excellent for the plants. But everywhere that I sprinkled plant tone last year, I had major vole problems. And I'm guessing maybe that's because the plants, were so healthy and so vigorous, till the voles just, that's where they went. And so I'm gonna, make sure that before I, sprinkle this, that we're fixing to get some rain. And so just to make sure it washes it in the ground, because it also will attract other animals. And we, being in the woods, that's not what you want to do. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this video, because I think I planted everything except the grass and the laurier rope grass that I had to remove. I will use it in a different video when I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it yet. But when I figure it out, I'll show y'all. But everything else in that wagon and everything else that I dug up out of that flower bed, minus the grass, has got planted. And so, until next time, bye.